我係高德嚟香港仔. Well, I'm British by nationality, but I regard myself as a Hong Kong person. And I mean, I've spent 55 years or more continuously in Hong Kong. Herd Street, we believe, is named after a famous American trading company called Augustine Herd and Company. And one of the partners, John Herd, was my great-great-grandfather.
呢個79歲嘅灣仔黑街後人喺香港住咗超過半個世紀。身為中資上市公司 Board Member， 又喺大陸開緊藥廠嘅佢，近日高調為公司查冊限制同民主發聲，俾好多香港生意佬正氣。呢份正氣背後，就要由佢喺赤柱監獄出世開始講起。
Yeah, I was born in Hong Kong in 1942 during the Japanese occupation because my parents were in Hong Kong. My father was in Hong Kong Bank working here, and my mother was working as a voluntary nurse in the British military hospital. So when the hostilities ended, they were very fortunate in being able to get together, and they both went into Stanley, and that's where I was born. I was playing close by to where the apartments were, and suddenly my mother rushed out and got hold of me and rushed me into the building. What it was the Americans were bombing Hong Kong, and they released a bomb in the wrong place, and I guess my mother heard the bomb. We were over here, particularly for those of us who were born in Stanley. We didn't know any other life, so this was life. I have a connection here because my great-great-great-great-grandmother was the wife of an Irish soldier. She died here in 1864 of a tropical disease, and she was buried here.
香港重光之後，高德麗由集中營獲釋返去英國。就算佢哋一家人喺戰爭嘅陰霾之中度過，但佢始終覺得香港係佢屋企。1964年，佢決定返嚟香港，一住就住咗57年。
And as a kid, I lived in Kowloon, and we often would come across to Hong Kong Island, and I walked to the front of the vehicular ferry, and I used to enjoy feeling the spray coming up. When I got to the front and the spray hit, I said, I'm back home. But a lot of people wanted me to work in their medical businesses. Also, I didn't want to work purely as an employee. I wanted to have some ownership. And of all the companies I interviewed with, one of them said, no, it's fine. What we want you to do is to start up a business for us, because we're not in this business here, but we'd like to be in it. We want you to start it up for us, and you can have 25% of the equity. I had to pay for it, but the total capital was only $1 million, and I was able to raise $250,000. My parents-in-law helped me. Behind you, feng shui. There must be feng shui elsewhere. That's feng shui. Yeah. I've always had the feng shui master come once a year before Chinese New Year to see what needs to be done. It was because my wife once had some difficulties with her business and was advised to consult the feng shui master. And within a week, everything went fine. So I thought, oh, maybe this works. I've been doing it for 30 years.
What is the meaning of that vow? That brings fortune, or?
I have no idea. The water I know, because water is one of my elements. And so I need to have lots of water around. In my home, it's almost like a lake. So much jars of water all over the place. Because that's water and gold and wood is they're important elements for me apparently.
佢60年代開始就喺大陸做生意，而家喺海南仲有間藥廠。咁多年嚟同大陸生意人打交道，佢體會到大陸同香港營商上面嘅差異。
The biggest headache in doing business in China is that they're always changing the rules, and they never give you advance warning. So you submit something, and they say, no, that's not valid now. And you say, well, what happened? Oh, yeah, well, we changed that last week. But they never tell you. So it's always a constant challenge, making sure you keep up with the rules. And that makes it difficult for business. But on the other hand, so you get a little bit less competition maybe, if you're prepared to go through all the trials and tribulations. When I was at school in England, I was very interested in politics. And I was able to vote in a couple of elections before I came back to Hong Kong. But when I came to Hong Kong, I just got on with building my career, building a family. And then it was the 1989 Tiananmen Square issues, and we had the big marches. And that's the first time I joined the march. And I was, of course, one of the few non-Chinese to be in the crowd. And people would call across to me and say, thank you for coming and joining us. And then the Hong Kong Democratic Foundation was formed. And I learnt about that, and I thought, okay, maybe there is now an opportunity to get involved in public policy issues. Basically, my political initiation was through Jimmy McGregor, who helped found the Hong Kong Democratic Foundation. But at the time, he was alleged co-representative for the Hong Kong General Chamber of Commerce. And I worked extremely closely with him.
2011年，佢同邵逸夫個侄邵在德同黃元山組隊參選行政長官選舉委員會，挑戰4大地產商，可惜輸咗俾新地。13年，佢投身陳方安生牽頭嘅香港2020，一齊爭取真普選。直到今日，佢都依然樂觀咁保持呢個香港人視為遙不可及嘅希望。
Our vision was to see the basic law fully implemented, and that is still my vision today. You know, we wanted to see one person, one vote come in finally for the chief executive without any form of screening. 除咗喺政界有份量，佢都係國際商務委員會香港區會副主席。呢個會係全球最大嘅商業組織之一。利豐集團主席馮國經都做過主席，林鄭往年都有俾面出席呢個會嘅酒席。It's unlikely that Hong Kong will lose its status as a financial hub, because there are still restrictions on financial transactions in mainland China and in centres like Shanghai and Beijing and everywhere that they don't have in Hong Kong, and that are very necessary if you want to be an international financial centre. But if they put too many restrictions on Hong Kong and what free flow of information, this sort of thing, companies will choose not to use it as an international financial centre. One of the concerns about the NSL is that there's, you know, it's not as well defined in terms of the offences. What is national security in the first place? What does that cover? So of course people are quite nervous. That remains to be seen. It's too early to say. You know, I'm a vice chairman of the International Chamber of Commerce, and we have written. In fact, they tried to do this back in 2013, and we wrote a letter then to the government, to KC Chan, who was the secretary, bureau secretary, saying that this was not a good idea. Again, we've written to legislators to tell them we think this is not helpful, and you need to have as much transparency over who owns what. You know, many Chinese people have the same name, not just the surname, but the whole same name, Wong Mei Ling. There must be lots of Wong Mei Lings, and so which is the Wong Mei Ling that's the director of this company? The only way you know is through the ID card number, and so it's something that definitely is not going to help the perception of free flow of information and transparency in Hong Kong, which is, these are core things that why people come and set up their companies here, because they can get all this in Hong Kong. And if you can't get this in future, then what's the point of setting up in Hong Kong? You may as well go and set up in Shanghai or Beijing or wherever, Singapore. So these are important parts of the Hong Kong environment, business environment. 乾茶拿好，茶，一杯茶。I can speak a little bit, of course, but not really conversational. I mean, I can tell the taxi where to go, and it's a secret, it's a state secret, my ability in Cantonese. But yeah, I regard myself as a Hong Kong person. When we moved here, I said to my wife, this is the last place we're moving to.
從赤柱集中營出生，升呢住到上山頂。本來佢可以坐享收成期，但佢想用自己嘅方法，為推動香港民主做多啲。
I'm not a frontline political person, no. So you pursue it by talking with people who are frontline, lobbying people, lobbying all colours. My mother told me that she realized that the Japanese were going to take Hong Kong and that they were probably going to be imprisoned. And so there was some need for her to focus on something in order to get through that period, because I think she believed that eventually they would be rescued. And so she said she and my father decided that the best focus would be a child. So that's why she got pregnant. I think you always need to have hope, never give up.
由創刊開始，31年都堅持敢言，開展偵查報導，創全新報導方式，首創狗仔文化，大爆名人豪門恩仇情秘。無懼黑勢力，大揭黑社會秘聞，踢爆政府醜聞，企喺香港人一邊。由過去到現在，一週刊從來冇變，我哋都一樣堅持敢言。喺最壞嘅時間，我哋承諾會一直喺香港人身邊，陪你繼續講真話。一週刊31年，和你一路同行。